fast. So it's a genuine pleasure to be here. A bit of a tough time just after lunch, but I will try to entertain you. So I will tell it more of a story. And if you want later on information, data sheets on the solution and the equipment, we have the booth and we will be glad to share. So I'll start with something different. This is Ananya. Early morning, she's on her way to her sister's wedding. Look at her face. Basically no rushing, no guessing, no anxiety. Because before the train even arrives, basically she knows when it's coming, where to stand, but more than that, where to go next. All the information, all the connectivity to the interconnection to her bus, to the final destination, all of it is there. She knows exactly when she will reach to the final destination. And this confidence comes from something rail projects sometimes often treat as a secondary. And that's the real-time information. So from our perspective, great railways don't only react, they continuously prepare. This doesn't work. I'll use this one. So the train arrives. Watch, for example, what doesn't happen. There is no last minute sprint. There is no crowd confusion. From that perspective, she boards like the system is meant to be, like it's synced with reality, because it is. Behind that simple moment, there is a lot of continuous connectivity. That data link must be reliable. Passengers don't need to feel that technology behind it. They feel the certainty in that. And now something happened. There is a change. She gets a notification that the timeline of the train has changed because she feels, and other passengers feel, that the train is a bit slowing down. Now, most journeys break the moment something changes. But here, in this story, nothing broke. The update was fast enough to actually be useful for her. So Ananya adapts, she looks at her phone, she gets a notification, she gets the connection bus, and she knows the new timeline that she will arrive to her destination. I'm zooming in actually to the front deck, to the driver cabin. Now, and he's looking at the level crossing. If you look something like 3 kilometers ahead, there is a truck that was stuck there. The system detects that risk before it becomes a headline. And that's part of the connectivity story. This is the difference between actually a safety as a checklist to a safety as a live feedback loop. This is the importance, and here's the point. From Ananya and from other passengers, they never notice that part because that's how success looks like. They only get the feedback eventually. From their perspective, the safety systems are invincible because they prevent, not only acting. So, back to Ananya. She's continues scrolling with her phone. She's not thinking about the network or the truck that was stopping at the cross section. And she's not thinking about, the cameras, the sensors, the IoT, all those capability. And that's not the problem. That's actually the goal. And the best compliment also as users and the railway operator is actually that the best compliment is the customer, the passengers, forget that they exist. With connectivity, that the railway is becoming predictable. And when that connectivity is becoming predictable, trust is a default. I'm switching to a completely different scenario. For example, this is Raul. He's a business traveler, traveled every day for 1 or 2 hours back and forth from work. He's on a different train. even an older rolling stock train. Now the laptop is open, a video conference is about to start. Now, truthfully, on paper, and I also traveled here, everyone has a Wi-Fi. Go on board on the ticket, you have the Wi-Fi password, great. But practically, in reality, most onboard connectivity fails exactly when it matters. And it's the continuity of work on the move that allows you to utilize this time that you are using the public transportation. And it's already not a luxury, it's a must. Same way that as you go home, you go to the working office, even here at the hotel, one of the first things every one of us did, look for the Wi-Fi password connectivity. Going back to Ananya and another perspective, because we don't always talk about it, but let's see the operator side from a monetization perspective. So this is a service orchestration at the end of the day. Seat guidance, dynamic announcement, accessibility support, all of these are great and important, but think about also additional things like a railway needs to think the journey as a service. So Ananya, for example, realized that she forgot something. Maybe she got remembered, but on the other hand, it could be a push from the operator because of the data connectivity, pushing her a promotion to buy flowers. That's a perfect match. So a new service, it's also new revenues for the operator. And more importantly, it actually justifies a better experience, better punctuality, and of course, better operations. So far a nice story. What basically stands behind it? First of all, we are looking at a modern train today generate and consume massive amount of data. And I'm not talking only about the Wi-Fi, mostly it's best effort, but you have the cameras, sensor, TCMS, PIS, diagnostic, safety system, operation maintenance, and I can go on for 5 minutes. This connectivity is becoming an essential part of the requirements to support any application at any capacity and at any speed. This is also very important. I heard all the concept about high-speed trains, and we need to support maybe not the maglev tomorrow, but close to that. And what we see here, for example, is the train to ground, but not only that, also onboard connectivity is important, because at the end of the day, 80% of the trains today, for example, in India, are old rolling stock that needs also to upgrade their onboard connections. So people love lists. You know, operation team loves outcome at the end of the day. So I can tell you, for example, 2 outcomes. First of all, the predictive information, like the predictive maintenance and operation. You detect a faulty early enough to schedule a fix, not to explain later on the delay. And secondly, like in the example of the story, real-time visibility. This is becoming more and more important because incidents don't get discovered later. They get managed before. And of course, an envelope of cybersecurity, I think any second presenter here mentioned that, it's a must. Providing that connectivity internally, as I mentioned, is as important as toward back and forth the train. Okay, to avoid the bottlenecks, but because if you provide a gigabit to the train, but the train connections inside support 100 meg, you didn't succeeded in a major connection advantage. And the industry is moving to the gigabit train. And it's not a service provided only for the new train, as I mentioned. Very easily and very fast, also old rolling stock can be upgraded with an internal connection that support this high capacity. So just to finish and wrap up the story, Ananya arrives, her journey feels complete. She's moving now to the connection with the bus. But for the railway, the work continues, as the train has captured a full operational story. The performance, the wear, the incidents, the passenger flow, safety events, all of this needs to move now very, very fast as data to the station, to the depot, and this is being diagnosed in order to optimize it. So this transfer is where the rail shift from reactive to predictive, from, let's say, what happened to what's about to happen. Think about if you download such information, even CCTV, even if you don't have a real-time connection, but you download every 5 minutes in the station, it's semi-real time, okay? Because instead of doing a diagnosis when the train finished their route at the depot, which is a bit of a post-mortem in some cases, you can have a 5 minutes delay, so even at the next station or on that station itself, you can already understand if something can happen to manage and prevent it. And this is a very strong operational advantage. So this is how people will view your railway, by moment that simply works. That's it. And of course, I don't need to tell you, you know better than I do, designing a railway, the tenders, the projects, the processes, you are usually having a project that will last 10, 20, 30 plus years. So in many cases, when we, for example, see project and discuss, the requirements are what you need today. No, but you need to think about what you need tomorrow to predict how people will view these trains and this solution in the next 10 and 15 years. And that's part of the importance. So how can you address all of this process and also try to predict what will be the next technology tomorrow, or at least make the solution in such a way that it can be upgraded without completely revolutionizing the system. So what we've seen today is not a collection of features, it's a story. And I hope I managed to entertain you a bit, especially after lunch. With connectivity, everything aligns. It's the passenger that trusts the journey. It's operation that trusts the data. It's safety that becomes proactive. And at the end of the day, innovation that is becoming a standard. And from at least what I saw, and also from the distinguished panel at the start, it's the right process. And we see that exactly. So I'm happy to invite you to our booth, very small booth at the side, and discuss more and present more about different types of projects. At the end of the day, RADWIN is a wireless vendor that provides reliable, high-capacity, secured wireless connectivity. Thank you very, very much.